Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at another one of these absolutely ridiculous Mecha Ninja Turtles. As in, what would a Ninja Turtle pilot if it was piloting a giant mech? And this right here is the answer. This is the Mecha Heat Ninja Turtles Michelangelo by HEATBOYS. I've taken a look at one of these before, that is the Leonardo, so you can check out that video if you want to see more about these. These are insanely cool, and I can't wait to check this one out, so thanks to HEATBOYS for sending it on to me. Now let's get it out of the box. So this right here is what you get once you get the Mecha Heat Ninja Turtles Michelangelo out of the box, and it is ridiculous. There's a few things about this that I had totally forgotten about the Leonardo that really hit me instantly on taking it out of the box. First off, I will mention there is a little bit of assembly. You just have to throw the head and the shell backpack on. But yeah, like I mentioned, there's a few things I'd totally forgotten. First off, the colors on this are perfection. Absolute vibrancy. They look amazing. This is one of those things that I don't even have to put any effort into lighting or filming because it looks astounding no matter what you do. It just is that beautiful. This thing weighs a ton. It's super heavy. It's made out of a whole lot of metal and it feels so top quality. This is one of the greatest mecha figures I've ever laid my hands on. This and the Leo, they are so impressive. I just have to underline it again and again just how awesome they are. Now when it comes to the individual details all over this, you could get lost in it for days. There's the multiple shades of green, fantastic orange highlighted by yellow. We've got shoulder rocket launchers, we've got a Gatling in the chest, shoulder vents, knee pads, iconic belt, tons and tons of awesome decals, Turtussi, dreadlocks, and we've even got some metallic paint really gelling it all together, and never forgetting that unmistakable glint of actual metal coming from the frame within. The coloring on here, I can't even gush about it enough. We've got some nice mattes, some semi-glosses, and metallic, so everything has its own unique look to it. And that shell, the shade of brown, absolute perfection. I could go on all day about this, but sadly I do not have all day to do that. Anyway, let's get this thing spinning. So there's the full 360-degree spin of this absolutely massive mecha of Michelangelo. This thing is ridiculously awesome. As usual, this is so you can see every angle of this for yourself to see anything that I may have forgot to mention, because there's so much going on here. So many different nice paint applications, a lot of nice decals, so much little subtle details all over the place that just makes this so perfect. It is at this point right here I will mention that I don't have the Leo handy right now to put side by side with it. I do have it still out in storage until I get my garage sorted, which I don't know how that could take me a million years. But yeah, what can I say? Absolutely fantastic. It does share a lot of physical attributes with the Leonardo, but this is Michelangelo through and through, and it is so cool. I do love all of the little subtle details that do set this apart from the one we saw before. But hey, there is a lot more to see when it comes to the actual accessories, so let's get to that. First though, size comparison. So first up, this right here is an absolutely massive figure. This comes in at 23 centimeters or 9 inches. There it is side by side with a high grade Gundam kit, a master grade Gundam kit, and a perfect grade Gundam kit. So as you can see, it's pretty damn big and a lot heavier. So now jumping into the accessories, and I'm not going to lay out absolutely everything that's inside of this box to show them all at once because that would take me hours in itself. There is so much in here. In the layer where we had Michelangelo, there's loads and loads of weapons. The next layer down, even more weapons. And in the bottom layer, then we've got all the aspects that make up the stand for holding this thing up. This little tray thing right here usually holds all the weapons and accessories for something I'm going to review, no bother, but it is packed to capacity and overfilled, and well, I still couldn't get everything into it. This has so much. Let's check it out. So whoever designed this mecha right here was like, well, what would make a mecha cooler? Well, sunglasses, because you know, they make everything absolutely automatically cooler. So on top of having some sunglasses in here, we also have some headphones. They just pop on like so. As far as I can tell, they are magnetized, so that is pretty cool. So this has definitely changed the overall look. I'm sure they play a functional role in it being a giant mecha and all. Oh yeah, and by the way, the mouth opens, just in case you didn't know. So what would Mikey be without his iconic nunchucks? And by the way, these have an actual chain, something I very much appreciate. which means they actually move very, very nicely. The kind of like nice catch in the tension is incredibly, incredibly nice. That also means they hang very nicely when they're on the hip, and we do have two of these, the attachment point being these little slots right here. So let's get them attached. And just in case you didn't know, here in Ireland, when we actually got the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, we got the British version, not the American version. So they tried to like nerf all the violence out of it. So it wasn't called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. And in order to remove some more of the violence out of it, they got rid of the nunchucks. Because you know, a sword and sais, which are essentially pokey fucking knives, aren't violent at all. So instead what we got was this kind of stupid like harpoon or like, I don't know, shell with a fishing hook at the end. But yeah, that's what they look like attached into the hand. And these are pretty cool. Under the arm for a little bit of Bruce Lee flair. So when these are not in use, they can be stored on the hip. We've got a little bit of an adapter segment, two of these, one for each hip. They pop on just like so, and then you attach both of the nunchucks in like so. These hold on absolutely perfectly, they look great, the chain hangs so nice, and that's what Mecha Mikey looks like with both of those attached onto the next weapon. This isn't actually a weapon, but the next thing in here is this. So each of these particular figures come with a little bit of a model kit aspect. Get them all, you can build yourself a little turtle van. We also have a tiny little Michelangelo stand here like so, as well as this, which is a pilot figure. So yeah, like I mentioned today, I don't really have as much time as I had the last time when I did one of these reviews, so if you do want to know what happens with these, it's basically you can pop these into a really cool cockpit in the shell, just like we would have seen with Leonardo, which is a ridiculously cool effect. Hopefully if I do get to take a look at the next few of these that are coming out, I will get to build this entire turtle van, and that is cool. A scale model turtle van for with your big old Mecha Ninja Turtles. Also, we do get a variant of this in transparent green, if you prefer that right there. The next weapons we have in here are referred to as the high-powered cannons. Once again, just as beautiful as the actual mecha itself. Some great color detailing, decaling, it all looks fantastic. This little barrel in here does rotate just like so, and this just looks great. We've got a nice, shiny green part in there as well, and we don't have just the one of these. We've got two, and that's a fantastic shade of silver right there on the barrel, actually, all over the place. So now getting these connected on is super simple and super effective. Basically you get this metal rack right here. This is made out of die-cast metal again. You attach on two of these very hard plastic adapter segments. These attach on perfectly. They slide on easy, but they feel good and strong. And then the two cannons attach onto those. Then you remove this little segment from the shell and slide this whole rack down into it for a pair of high-powered shoulder cannons looking gorgeous. Adding some more absolutely classic mecha flavor to Michelangelo right here, we've got these in here, which are some missile pods. And they're opening missile pods at that with all of those red missiles inside. Gorgeous. Awesome. Getting these shoulder-guided missile launchers onto the mecha right here is exactly the same as what we just saw. We've got two adapter segments. These are die-cast metal and plastic arms. They attach into the missile pods just like so from below, and then into these big old holes in the sides of the shell. They mount then into that side of the shell and come up over the shoulders just like so. So there are the two big old missile pods up on the shoulders again, looking ridiculously beautiful. And if that wasn't enough, we have more. So these are the leg missile launchers. As you can see, there's no missiles in here. These are actual separate pieces that you can actually just load in just like so. So there's 1, 2, that one's backwards. Good job, we've got this little switch to push them out. So that is 2 and 3. So they all pop in just like so. Like I mentioned, switch to make them pop out. Ready to launch. Attaching that on just requires this little bit of a thing that sticks in just like so. So in order to get this attached, we do have a little bit of a hard point on the side of the leg. You remove this little bit of a armored cover like so and attach it on. Do the exact same thing on the other side, load it up, pop off the cover, attach it on, and this right here is what you get. So these look a little bit more heavy duty than what we see up on the shoulders, bigger missiles attached on the side of the legs and looking absolutely awesome. This thing's getting bigger and bigger. So the next accessories we have in here are these. These are giant cruise missiles, and just to give you an idea of just how giant, this right here is the size of a turtle. There is the missile. There's the turtle van, that is pretty much the entire length of it. There's the missile, that's a big missile. This does have these little parts that point out like so, which I assume are some kind of, I don't know, in-air stabilizers, or are they blades, which would make it even a little more visceral. But yeah, that's what it's like. It says Cowabunga on the side, which is ridiculous. One way, that is awesome. Now looking at the instructions right here, there is two ways to attach these. First off is up on the backpack just like so, but they would involve removing those big shoulder cannons. So I'm going to go with option number 2, which is on the side of the arm. We have this cruise missile rack right here. You just load these on like so and like so. And that's what that looks like. So getting these giant cruise missiles onto the arm just involves popping off yet another hard point cover like so, attaching on this little adapter segment, and then attaching on that cruise missile rack onto it like this. Almost like a shield, but maybe not a shield you'd want to be blocking with. And this is what it looks like. So over the top, ridiculous, and one hell of an explosive punch. I'm going to assume that's not the point. So finally now onto the main event inside this box besides the mecha itself, and that is this absolutely huge double Gatling gun with a lot of all the same stuff we would have seen before. Incredible decals, fantastic paintwork, the whole thing looks incredible. Now at this point, this is where I do have to apologize slightly, and that is because of this right here. This is battery powered. These rotate themselves and can spin around. However, I can never, ever, ever for some reason be able to get button batteries anywhere ever. Never. So it does mean in this situation I won't be able to actually show that. Same goes with the eyes on Michelangelo right here. They light up as well. So those require button batteries, which sadly I cannot get. Anyway, let's get this thing attached. Getting the Gatling attached is pretty much like the missile rack. You add on the same attachment adapter segment like this. Then you put a handle one on as well. They pop into the arm in the exact same sort of way. The hand closes around the handle with its awesome articulation, and this is what it looks like. But sadly, we don't get to see the spinning in action. So the last thing then we've gotten here is the stand. This is amazing because it's got a big old sewer top right here that you can lift off. Any of those accessories or bits they had to take off can all just be popped inside of here so they don't get lost, and then you can just pop this right back on like so. We have two attachment adapters. This one is level to the ground. This one will hold him slightly up in the air at an angle. We have two lengths of pipe. I assume one is just for standing up, one is for in-air poses. I'm going to go with the standing one because that is the way he's going to stay up on the shelf. So that just pops on like so, screws down into the stand. So getting him up on that stand there, and it seems like even the shorter one is a flying stand by the seams of things. So you can have him flying high or flying higher. Seeing as that's what Mikey decided himself, I might as well stick with it. Why try to change things? And while he's up in the air, I might as well get this into a nice, classic, iconic mecha pose, that being the Strike Gundam from Gundam Seed. And wow, does this look phenomenal. So finally now moving on to the articulation, and usually I make a little bit of a comment on the build of these things. This thing is rock solid. I mean, this is, I would usually say solid as a brick shithouse, but this is as solid as a steel shithouse. This thing is ridiculous. Now, with a figure as complicated as this, it's easy to actually miss out on some of the articulation, so I'll do my best and see what I can do. Anyway, starting with the usual pose. So when it comes to the overall articulation, this is such a nice posing experience. It just slides perfectly, but strongly into the, well, pose that you want. There's nice little dropping mechanisms, splitting mechanisms, sliding mechanisms, even in the legs that allow this to get into what you want. The only real limitation I find here, there isn't really much twist in the torso to get it to kind of twist around into this kind of lunge pose right here. But what we do get in the end is still quite impressive when you consider that this is meant to be a big old giant mecha, and at the same time you're not really losing out and getting a lot of, you know, when there's too much articulation, sometimes things get a little bit weak. But on the whole, this is very, very nice. You're not going to get over the top ridiculous poses out of it, but you will get some really nice ones. Now, I'm not going to go through all the individual joints on this because this is pretty much identical to the Leonardo when it comes to the actual physical nature of the actual figure. So if you do want to see more about it, every little joint one by one, you can check out that review. But yeah, you will get some nice poses out of this, whether aerial or down on the ground or even kneeling down like this, and it is an absolute joy to pose. I honestly cannot get over these figures, but yeah, that right there is it for the review. These are as good as mecha figures get. Full stop. They are fantastic, top tier, the greatest. Honestly, I love these so much. If you do compare them to other figures that are out there, for example, Bandai's Metal Build or Bandai's Fixed Figuration figures, I would say this is even better than those. There's so much love poured into it. The design is fantastic. The weapons all work perfectly and nothing is janky, nothing is funny, there's no flubs, no nothing. This is sheer perfection. If you love mecha, you need this. If you love the turtles, you need this. If you just like the look of it and never really thought of both of those things at all, you still need this. So good. I will throw a link down there in the description. Thank you so much to HEATBOYS for sending this on to me. These things are so awesome. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. So this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos, and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashel Marmion, Golel Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Seahack, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.